Hello, everybody. Hopefully everyone's having a great Thursday so far. I'm just going to invite our guest in. Hi, Clarice.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Hopefully the crowd can all hear us too. If someone wants to maybe send a thumbs up or something, just to make sure we're not having any technical difficulties. We can probably get started. So we're back again with another office spotlight feature. I am Kate Newman. I'm on the campus recruiting team here at Beacon Hill. So today we are going to highlight the Madison Technologies office. And with me, I have Clarice Nilica. She is a senior account executive at the Madison Technologies office, and she has been with Beacon Hill since December of 2020. So welcome, Clarice.
Thank you.
Awesome. So we will kind of just jump in. I wanted to start with having you share your story about how you discovered staffing and how you ended up at Beacon Hill.
Yes. So it's kind of a funny story. Right out of school, I actually worked at a boutique fitness studio, like signing people up for memberships. And the studio that I worked with happened to be right below the Madison Beacon Hill office. So before I ever even knew like what staffing was or anything like that, I knew all the Madison crew from, them coming in and working out over lunch and things like that. And then, fast forward, I was there for 8 or 9 months, kind of was done doing like the early morning shifts and didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I applied to a bunch of different like admin assistant, receptionist kind of jobs and happened to land a job at a staffing company. And started there, quickly moved into the account management track and stayed with them for about 5.5 years and just completely fell in love with staffing and IT staffing and kind of the people like nature of the job. And then in the middle of the pandemic, it felt like a time to move and try something new. So I moved from my old company to Beacon Hill, and it's been an amazing kind of just over 2 years.
Yeah, I feel like everyone kind of falls into staffing. You never really know that's what your plan is, and then you find that it's the right home for you. So that's awesome. Have you always lived in Madison, or do you want to tell everybody where you're from and how you ended up in the Madison area?
Yeah, I lived in Wisconsin my whole life. I have been in Madison for about 10 years now, but I grew up a little bit more north than Madison. If anyone's familiar with like Kohler bathtubs
Yep.
and faucets, that's like 10 minutes from where I grew up in a little country town. So I came here for school. I was deciding between UW-Madison and Minnesota, and my dad took me to a Badger football game and just kind of fell in love and decided to come here solely based on that one day. So and then went to school here, graduated, stayed in the area, bought my first house a couple years ago, and just really, really love this city.
Congratulations. That's so awesome. So I'd love to hear more about what it's like then working in Madison. Like for people who know the Madison area, because we do talk to a lot of UW-Madison students, go Badgers. So I'd love to know like what's the office nearby and anything other than, that, like what type of office traditions do you guys have? Do you go to lunches together, that type of thing?
Yeah, so as a lot of people know, Madison is an isthmus, so we have 2 massive lakes and then a teeny tiny little strip of land, which is our downtown. And so our office is located kind of on the outskirts of town. It's really centrally located for east and west side people, which is really nice. We're like right off the major highway and have a nice little office space. We go in a couple days a week, and I love it. I like live by myself, so it's so fun to have like this social atmosphere and being around people and having like those goofy moments at the office. In terms of like fun things, we do lunches a lot, like both through Beacon Hill and just kind of on a whim. Like pretty much every day at 10 a.m. there's a Teams chat that goes out asking like, I brought a lunch, but I'm not really feeling excited. Like, who wants to go here and hanging out? And then it's super cute. We actually all usually eat lunch in the conference room together and like play games or, you know, watch YouTube videos or stuff like that, which is fun. Other than that, we do like quarterly outings, which are really fun as a whole office. And like recently we've been doing theme days, which are kind of fun. So
I love that.
yeah, we just a couple weeks ago, we did like a paint and sip night or paint and sip afternoon for our Q1 outing. And we like did a Emily in Paris French theme. So everyone like dressed up in their best like French outfits. And yeah, it was super fun. So just like fun stuff like that. And then I think our like longest standing tradition, once you get your first placement, you do a first placement dance for the rest of the office, which is kind of anxiety, but also very fun.
This is the first time I'm hearing of that. I knew you guys did lunch in the conference room, which is so cute. And the quarterly outing sounds like so much fun. Next time I might have to like come up from Milwaukee and
yeah,
maybe like join it. But yeah, the first dance. So have you had, obviously you had to do one because you've been doing a great job. So did you pick like a song to go with it, or how did it
I have never admitted this to my office, so I will probably get roasted after this. But since I joined in the middle of COVID, I have been able to avoid doing my first day dance because everyone was remote. I just like, whenever it comes up, I don't say anything. So we'll see if I ever have to do it. But
I'm kind of hoping that you have to secretively.
Kind of hoping I don't have to.
Oh my gosh, that's so fun. What was your favorite quarterly outing that you guys have done so far, if you had to pick?
Favorite quarterly outing. I like love wings, so it might be like kind of a lame one compared to every other one we've done, but with Milwaukee being super close, there's this really good wing spot on the east side of Madison called Chicken Licks, and it's kind of like this hole in the wall, like old country house that just has like the best chicken wings and dry rub that I've ever had. So a couple years ago, we did a fun outing, like coming out of COVID. The Milwaukee office came up and we all met and had wings, and it was like we had so many new people, so it was fun for everyone to meet each other, and hung out there for a couple hours and played heads up and just kind of sat around and chilled, which was really fun.
That's so much fun. I feel like it's just the bonding time. You know, it doesn't really matter what you're doing at the end of the day when you get to interact with the team outside of the office environment and just kind of like hang out as friends, I guess. It's just nice. So yeah, that sounds like fun. And I love chicken wings as well. So definitely jealous that I missed that one. But cool. Well, I wanted to move on and learn a little bit more about kind of the dynamic of the office. So kind of what is office setup like? How many days are you guys at home versus maybe in the office, that type of thing?
Yeah, good question. So our office is like what we call a bullpen. So I think there's like maybe 12 or 13 of us that go into the office like pretty consistently. And the bullpen means like we're all in the same room with different like cubicles. So you do have like somewhat semi-privacy, but kind of being in like the big room all together makes it really fun. You can hear people, you can laugh, you can joke around. It's also a really great like atmosphere for new people because you can hear everyone else's conversations and they can hear yours, which I feel like is one of the best ways to kind of learn and get good at recruiting and sales. So and we have like, and we have music playing in the background and like a little kitchenette and stuff like that. So it's a pretty typical office, I would say, but we kind of make it our own.
I love that. No, I agree. It's so helpful being able to hear those conversations happening, being that you can learn hands-on from them. And, you know, that energy, the camaraderie in the office sounds great. It kind of keeps the momentum up. If other people are on the phone, then it gets you motivated to get on the phone, and everyone just kind of get together and grind out their work. So I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, your other question. So right now we come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays pretty consistently. It is flexible. Like if you have an appointment or if you're not feeling well, like we're pretty flexible, but yeah, I would say Tuesdays and Thursdays pretty consistently.
Awesome. And then for those people who may watch this video even in the future, if they're interviewing with Beacon Hill, obviously I mentioned earlier that you guys are a technologies division. So can you just explain a little bit what that means and kind of the types of, professionals that you place or who you talk to?
Yes. So we work with pretty much any type of company. Like, we're not sectored into a certain type of industry. The beauty of working in the IT space is that most companies these days, whether they're like finance companies, insurance, manufacturing, everyone has an IT department. So we primarily work with, IT managers and IT directors, sourcing kind of anything that falls under IT. So it can be like entry-level help desk and desktop support, high-level developers in a multitude of different technological languages. And then we also have kind of like a functional side of IT with project managers and business analysts and change managers, things like that. Obviously, IT security is a huge space. There's like one thing that I have learned, and I still learn every day. Like, there's so much more to IT than what people think, is just like a developer or
Yep.
software engineer. So, and it's kind of nice too, because technology is changing really fast. So as soon as I feel like I get the hang of, a certain technology or a certain skill set, companies are already kind of moving on to the next best thing, which keeps it really interesting.
Yeah. I'm a little bit biased because I used to be a technical recruiter, and obviously every division at Beacon Hill is super awesome, but I love that tech is like the future. So there's a lot happening there. And then, even with the companies that you can reach out to who might need help, because an IT department is really needed to function, or for a company to function at the end of the day. So it just opens a lot of doors there too. So it is a super exciting industry to be a part of. So thank you for getting into detail. That really helped a lot. Well, a couple other questions I wanted to ask, and more so these were also for, people who might be interviewing in the future. In your opinion, what do you think makes a great hire?
Yeah, so I think a great hire is someone, first and foremost, that's going to be hardworking. I don't think any job is easy, but this job particularly, it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of kind of grit and hustle. Especially when you first start out. You don't have that book of business. You don't have the relationships established. So, you can have a lot of days where you don't get a lot of meetings, or you have a lot of rejections, and being able to kind of come back each day and be excited and hit the phones and talk to people. The other things that I think, kind of go hand in hand with that are being confident, being outgoing. It can be kind of intimidating when you're just starting out and you're talking to someone that has been an IT manager or IT director for years and years and years. So just being able to like carry yourself, have that confidence, like know that you're bringing a lot of value to the table. And then the last thing I think is being willing to be uncomfortable. A lot of what we do can feel really uncomfortable. So, having fun with it and not taking it too seriously. I've had so many stories of goofy things I've done or said or mistakes I've made, and just being able to laugh it off and roll with it and go on to the next thing.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes you just have to be willing to try it out, and it might not work, but you learn from that. So I think that that's great. And then another thing I wanted to ask, just being that staffing is obviously a tough industry, just in the case that it's very sales oriented. Like you just mentioned, you have to kind of be able to grind and keep that perseverance and remain positive. But what advice would you have for somebody going into staffing, or starting their career in staffing, I should say?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think kind of managing your expectations is important. We talk about defining your wins and defining success in a lot of different ways. So, sometimes it takes a lot longer. Like, even when I joined Beacon Hill, I had almost 6 years of experience, and there were still days I called my boss like, oh, it's just not clicking. All of a sudden it starts clicking. So, kind of managing your expectations, sticking with it, staying motivated. I think also really kind of embodying your competitive spirit, particularly in the beginning, is really helpful as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. We actually had a question come through the chat too, so I will ask you this one. I guess a candidate asked us today from one of our campus recruiters, excuse me. They were wondering, what is the percentage of hires that are temp versus temp to perm in tech?
Ooh, that really fluctuates on the market. When I first started, almost 8 years ago, it was primarily like temp only and contract only. In the last couple of years, we've seen a little bit more of a shift to contract to hire, especially the last like 2.5, 3 years with COVID. It's been such a tight market in the IT space. So, internal HR teams and talent acquisition teams have just been overwhelmed and hurting. So they've been engaging vendors like us to kind of help, you know, get people in the door faster because there's still work to do. And then eventually they convert them to kind of build their long-term team.
Yeah.
So it does kind of shift. I don't know that there's like any one percentage. It kind of depends on client too.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's probably hard to give an exact number, but more so just the rundown of what it's usually like. And then I wanted to end on a fun note. It looks like actually the question came in through the chat anyways, which is really funny. But what, in your opinion, either is your favorite part about working at Beacon Hill or maybe one of your favorite traditions? I figure that's another great thing that it's fun to talk about the culture so people understand what it's really like to work here.
Yes. I would say, well, the parties and the incentives are so much fun. It's cool because we're privately owned, and so a lot of the money goes back into the people that work here and is invested in keeping them excited and happy. So we do really fun parties, like for the holiday party out in Boston. We have different incentive trips for, meeting certain milestones. You get to go down to Florida, which is super fun. I think any of those types of things that are bigger, but then even just the day-to-day stuff, the outings, the lunches, all of that, it does feel like you kind of become like a family with your team.
Yeah.
I also really like that. I feel like I've developed professionally and as a salesperson a lot more in the 2 years I've been here. It's really cool because there is, different levels and hierarchies and org structure, but you really have access to anyone in the company that might be able to help you. And there's no fear of, oh, I'm going to reach out to the director in the Texas market and ask her a question. And I feel like it's really helped me become a lot better at my job.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love hearing that. And I know I agree too. There's a lot of support at this company on all teams, like all across the company. So I would echo that as well. And thank you so much for jumping on here. It was so nice to talk to you and let everybody know a little bit more about the Madison office. So I really appreciate it. But we will jump off for now, and everyone have a great rest of your day.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks. Bye.